Hello, and welcome back to my channel. I am your host, Saucy McFoodlefist, coming to you live on tape with The Letter, Episode 4. In the last one, we talked to Miss McCullough, who thought she had, she was an interior designer who had some clients who bought the house, and Isabella woke up from her head injury and was confused about the situation, and so was Rose. So we have Rose, Isabella, Miss McCullough, Ashton, and Rebecca. And that's where we are right now. Let's get started, shall we? Oh, this is the open house, I believe. A flock of people have already gathered in the mansion's front yard by the time we officially open the doors. I'm not sure whether I should feel baffled or underdressed standing in their presence. Men and women of wealth and status, all dressed to the nines in fancy suits and lovely dresses of varying colors, compose the medium-sized crowd. It almost said medium brown, like it's like a steak or something. I just ate food, by the way, so in case you're wondering. Their necks, arms, and fingers are adorned with silver and gold, glinting in the afternoon sun. Some even have a ridiculously fancy feathered hats on their heads. Excuse me. I also just smoked a cigarette, so my throat's a little phlegmy. Anyway, I really hope there aren't any magpies living nearby in the stories. Those birds will have a field day in this. Okay? They are murmuring among themselves, looking at the estate's facade appraisingly, with some arguing about whose mansion has the superior architecture. But most of it stops as Rose calls for their attention. They don't look too pleased at being ordered around, but what can they do about it?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Rose Cooper, and this is my partner, Isabella Santos. We'll be taking a tour of the mansion in 2 groups. Please make sure you filled up our sign-in forms before joining a specific group.
Those who want to look around the first floor, please follow my partner. I'll be guiding the ones who wish to see the ground floor.
Hearing this, a few wander to me. They are mostly old ladies who seem daunted at the idea of climbing all those stairs. Should have put an elevator in. It's from The Simpsons, anyway. Miss McCullough, I forgot how I said it in the last episode. McCullough also joins our group, but what really catches my eye is the elegantly dressed pair she approaches.
It's so nice to finally meet you! When Chief Inspector Lee mentioned that a famous interior designer is in town, I knew I had to get you.
Okay.
Your confidence in my skills is very flattering, ma'am.
Wait, isn't Chief Inspector Lee the guy, Jackie Chan from Rush Hour? Like, isn't that his name, Inspector Lee? Anyway.
I'm sure you won't disappoint, Marianne.
Oh, you know each other?
Not at all, ma'am.
You mentioned something about a Marianne on our way here, darling?
Oh, yes, I think I did.
Okay. It must be the clients she was talking about. See? I might have seen their faces somewhere before. Some magazine? Or the television? I can't quite remember. Me acting. But then again, most of our guests have likely ended up on the news one way or another. I won't be surprised if these two already have. For people who are popular, though, they aren't dressed as loudly as the others, and in their simplicity, the couple stands out. Out. The woman, in particular, is stunning enough to turn the heads of most people in my group, especially the men with wandering eyes. Yeah, I think Isabella might be, into the ladies, the way she describes them, anyway. The guy standing beside her doesn't seem to mind, though. And if I'm going to be a bit bolder with my assumptions, I'd say he's basking in the attention. Both of them, in fact. I'd like to think they are brother and sister if it wasn't for their big public display of affection. Hot. I wish incest porn had a more mainstream appeal. Just kidding. Their matching rings, that's from Rick and Morty, by the way. The matching rings on their fingers just cement the fact that they are indeed a couple. Whatever. Couple or not, what's important is we get this deal closed before the current owners can even think of canceling the listing. I just hope one day in my or Rose's group is brave enough brave and generous enough to buy this mansion. Well, if it's in Rose's group, you don't get the commission, will you, Isabella? So why would you want it to be in Rose's group? Or will you split it, or how does that work? And so, with papers in hand, I lead the way. When they aren't whispering amongst themselves or going ooh and ah over one thing or another, they ask questions. From how the restoration process went, to the history of the place, I answered them all, more than happy to talk about the art pieces and architecture mostly. Is this like how people actually live their lives? However, I'm careful not to mention anything about the urban legend. Is that really an urban legend? Not a good material for sales talk, even if the entire population of a Luxborn knows about it.
Some of the furnishings here are actually the 17th century originals, all of which have undergone a painstaking restoration process just to return its original beauty.
Even the glass thing. Colorful ones. Oh, I don't know, but you get the idea, I hope.
Especially that one, ma'am. It is said to be a gift commissioned by the fiancé of Lady Charlotte Ermengarde. The mansion's current owners have specifically requested that the restoration crew take great care in handling it. It's a priceless work of art and the most distinctive feature of the mansion.
You know, maybe it's just me, but why would you want to buy a mansion with someone else's crap in it? Like, no matter how fancy it is, like, is this how rich people live? I'm not rich, by the way. Please like, comment, and subscribe so I can get rich. By the time I've stopped talking, her attention is already elsewhere.
Isn't this place wonderful, darling? I told you it's not a total waste of your time.
I don't know. Isn't it a bit too small? We might have to break a wall down to have more room.
Well, I think it is just right. Don't you think so, Marianne?
Mom, you haven't finalized anything with an agent yet.
I thought she said mom.
I would really advise against making plans this early when...
Never mind that. It isn't going to be a problem. We've got a wonderful legal team to handle everything. Start taking notes, though. I think I've got a few things I want changed before we move in.
The rest of their conversation gets lost in the chatter of our companions. I don't want to make any assumptions yet, but their sheer interest is enough to give me some semblance of hope. Oh, please, please let these guys be the one. Eventually, our group reaches the kitchen. Much like the rest of the house, a great deal of effort has been put in retaining the room's classical appeal. The open hearth of the end of the room in particular looks amazing, like the ones I've seen only in fairy tale books. And mad props to the cleaning crew. Mad props, what? Seriously, after overhearing hundreds of their complaints about the soot and tar staining the bricks and how much of a pain in the arse cleaning this will be, they still managed to pull this off. Or make it look presentable, at least.
The highlight of the room, however, is what's underneath this hatch here.
Oh, don't say anything yet. An underground wine cellar.
The first time the guy in gray speaks up, Mr. Luke Wright, my memory slips from my forms they signed earlier. His sudden attentiveness catches me off guard. Since the start of the tour, only his wife has shown any form of genuine interest in this place. But this time, something lights up his eyes at the mentions of the Undercroft. What's so interesting about the basement? I don't really understand rich people sometimes. Right now, he just gives me the impression of a child who has seen what he absolutely wants for Christmas. I've always found it cute whenever I see children act that way, my younger siblings especially. Well, on a grown man, it's almost funny.
Yes, sir. It could house around 7,000 to 11,000 bottles of wine.
That's a lot of wine, holy.
Truly. And the room, how was it built?
The bricks that were used to build the cellar have been carefully picked for the purpose of maintaining and preserving a constant temperature and humidity in the room. It's a good place to keep your private collection in if you have one, sir.
It keeps the corks in good condition.
Oh, love. Didn't you say before that you wanted to make your own personal vineyard? Perhaps you could start one here.
You know we're going to need space for that, darling.
And this isn't big enough for your own... well, why? You can't have a vineyard underground.
If it's space you're worried about, sir, the Ermengarde mansion sits on a 46-acre lot. There's plenty of room for it.
Oh, maybe they're talking about the outside.
We were told that the original owners had a horse stable built here before, too.
There's the contemplative expression on Mr. Wright's face, but he doesn't say anything further. His wife, however, seems really pleased to have that he has started to show interest, if only a little. I smiled to myself. I may not completely understand how these people's minds work, but I sure as hell know how to spot a buyer with sincere interest. Score! Score! Say it like a stoner. Say it like a stoner, Isabella. Score! Sweet. I can't wait to tell Rose. The rest of the tour goes by without a hitch. After more than a half an hour, we're able to cover almost every room on the ground floor and are heading to the parlor. Funny, the first time BRC had us survey the property, I kept complaining to Rose how big it is. Yeah, that's what she said. Now, I can't even bring myself to care, no matter how much my feet hurt. Maybe this is just my excitement over a possible sale? Yeah, maybe. We reach the parlor, however, and an odd feeling washes over me. So we look in the parlor, we have the artwork on the walls, we have a clock, a couple of windows, a bar, and a tea table, and some whispery voices. It starts off as goosebumps on my skin, a feeling of being watched intently. Whispers in my ears, shadows dancing, lurking in the corner of my vision. Dark silhouettes that are gone when I turn to look. Oh, that happened to me last night, by the way, but, you know, whatever. Like, in real life. A chill settles down my spine, making me feel sick, and I start to break out in a cold sweat. I can't do this. I need to sit down for a moment. The old ladies in the group have been requesting for a break anyway. If I can just...
Excuse me? Everyone? We will be taking a 15-minute rest here before we visit the first floor. In the meantime, please help yourselves to the refreshments and snacks we prepared. If anyone has any questions, feel free to approach me. I'd be happy to help you.
I let them sit while I retreat to a quiet corner to recover. It's not what you think. Don't think about it. It's not what you think. I've probably just caught Becca's cold. Don't think about it. Don't think about it. I'm left alone for a good while, the same words spilling out of my lips in a silent prayer. Until a hand taps my shoulder.
Hello, you there?
Hello, ma'am, right? How are you?
Yes, ma'am?
Oh, look at you. Having to show a group around a mansion this big must be exhausting.
Not a problem, ma'am. I'm just doing my job.
What a hard worker.
Anyway, Isabel, right?
It's Isabella.
Isabella, actually. But yes, what can I help you with, ma'am, right?
Please, just Hana. Call me Hana.
Alright, Hana. I Hana hump a lot. Is that your name?
I just wanted to ask, how soon are we able to move in?
My brain completely stops. The sick feeling plaguing me is suddenly gone, replaced by utter bewilderment. Oh, did she just ask how soon she can move in? Is this a joke? She looks at me expectantly as I struggle to come up with an answer.
Wait, ma'am, you see... But we haven't even negotiated a price yet, ma'am. We haven't even finished touring the rest of the mansion. A sale would be great and all, but...
She stops me from speaking any further and puts a hand on my shoulder. For a moment, with her tight smile, yeah, that's not the only thing that's tight, she looks as if she has tasted a particularly sour lemon.
Oh, please, sweetie, don't insult me. Money is not a problem. And, just between you and me, this place is better off with us than with some old lady who'll probably just fill it up with cats.
Hey, don't talk shit about cats.
I personally don't think there's anything wrong with having cats here, ma'am Hana. I'm sure there's more than enough space here if you want pets.
Perhaps I'm not feeling very well, but really, what's wrong with cats? My thoughts exactly, Isabella. Anyway, more importantly, why is she talking about moving in already?
Well, I'm more of a dog person.
Ew, I don't like that.
But you see, this is going to be a gift to my darling. It's going to be our anniversary soon. And it would be so wonderful if you can secure its purchase for us. Why, I can even offer something extra if you help us out with the paperwork.
Extra? Like what?
We actually have a process for this, ma'am. I don't really think that would be necessary or appropriate.
And just what are you two lovely ladies talking about here? Leaving me and our lovely interior designer to talk here by ourselves. What would the people think, darling?
Oh, it's just small talk, love. I was asking if she could help me with the paperwork.
I try not to wince when her nails dig into my shoulder. Yeah, her lying. I can't help but send an imploring look at Miss McCullough, who only looks away with a sigh.
Yeah, I can give you a fact sheet and a form to fill out.
She wastes no time in taking the papers from my hand and shuffles through the bunch. Oh man, Rose is going to be so angry with me for letting her do that. Why?
Wonderful. And Marianne, I'd really love to talk to you about those changes. You took some notes earlier, yes?
I did, Mom. But I really hope that this time...
Excellent. Hopefully you can help us out too, Isabel.
How?
Isabella.
Right. It's a lovely name, Isabel.
It's Isabella.
Is she trolling us right now? Is that what she's doing?
Yes, that's great. We'll be more than happy to put in a good word to your superiors too, and... What's this?
A look of confusion and disgust appears on her face. Turning to her husband, he merely shrugs in reply. Did she find the letter?
That's, an interesting work of art. Not to my taste, though. I'm sorry.
Darling, Buttercup, art is a complete overstatement for this garbage. It looks like a cheap prop from a D-list horror film.
You say garbage? The garbage?
Shush, love. Let the girl do what she pleases with, what do they call this? Oh, forget about it. At the very least, it's not as dreadful as the one art exhibit I was forced to attend last month. You should have seen it, Marianne. Even you would have been appalled. But I'm sure you'll know what to do with our walls once we get started.
I highly doubt it is as bad as you say, Ma'am. Nevertheless, you can be assured that my team will only pick whatever suits your tastes. Nothing of this chain letter sort, of course. It has to always work with a palette.
I'm quite sure chain letters these days don't come in this form.
Yeah, they come in emails, don't they? Like, send this email to 5 of your... Remember when your grandma first got on the internet and she would be like, send this chain email to 5 of your friends to get love from Jesus this day, or, whatever. Now people do that, like, on Facebook and shit like that. So, it still happens. It's my turn to be puzzled. What do they mean? Rose and I double-checked everything. Are the papers I handed not enough? I want to ask what I did wrong. I don't want to mess this up. But with the way Ma'am Hannah's leading the conversation, I'm afraid that's exactly what will happen if I do interrupt her.
That's good to hear.
Sorry, that last sentence kind of sucked.
See, darling, isn't she an absolute delight to work with? I can't wait to see how this place will look when she's done with it.
Oh, you don't have to tell me that, Buttercup.
A smile is back on her face when she turns to me and hands me a strange piece of paper.
I would still put it away if I were you, though. Otherwise, people might get the wrong impression. Anyway, as I was saying...
Dude, I totally have, ADHD because, it's hard for me to pay attention to what's going on, and I'm just making a video. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You're not my doctor. I don't hear the rest of what she says after that. I can only stare down the paper, at the letter in my hands. The sides crinkle my grip, and the breathing grows labored. Me going downstairs. Dread quickly fills my mind.
Isabella? Isabella? Are you alright? You're looking pale.
I didn't even notice when Rose's group joined us in the parlor. I want nothing more than to say that no, I am not alright. I want to leave this place. Because I remember everything, as clear as day. The letter and those blood-soaked limbs in the attic. The old blood-soaked limbs in the attic. It's real.
The letter. I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Careless. I've been so careless. Me trying to act. How do I even tell them that what they're looking at, like... Okay. How do I even tell them without looking like I've gone mad? Should I even tell them? Okay. So should I show the letter to Rose or don't show her the letter? Now, it says share this with 5 people. So I think it's important if I'm going to help the ghost of this mansion to share the letter with people. So I'm going to share the letter with Rose. Or okay, yeah, we're gonna do that. I blurted out before I can even think twice about what I'm going to say.
Rose, we need to get out of here. This place is cursed.
Rose casts a nervous glance at the people in the room. Most are still engaged in conversation with their peers, but curious enough to turn their heads in our group's direction, but those curious enough to turn their heads in our group's direction have been given her trademark saleswoman's smile. Oh, look at it, Rose. I'll never let you go, Rose. A tight expression is on her face when she pulls me aside.
Isabella, we've already had a conversation about this weeks ago. Those are just stories.
And I'm telling you that it's not. I saw something in there. It's not human at all. I thought it was just nothing, but isn't this letter proof enough?
She gently reaches out to pluck the paper off my hand. Without even taking a glance at it, she folds it back neatly.
Look, I'm really getting worried about you. I know you want to see this open house through, but your condition is more important.
Your condition? Does she think that we're mentally ill?
Give me a few minutes to wrap things up here, and I'll drive you to the nearest hospital.
No! You don't understand! There isn't a condition, Rose. No concussion at all. I'm fine.
Ooh, this is like to me in real life for me in real life right now, just FYI.
But this place isn't, and you're being stubborn about it.
Before Rose could open her mouth for a retort, a hand lands on both our shoulders, pulling us to a distant corner. Pulling the two of us a distance closer.
Now, ladies, what seems to be the problem here?
Nothing, sir. I just had to clarify a few things with my colleague.
Well, it certainly seems intense. A smile fits the two of you better, in my opinion.
Okay, Mr. Right seems evil. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Especially darling little Lily here.
Huh? Little Lily? Is that like my nickname? He gives my shoulder a gentle squeeze with an inscrutable. Sorry. While an inscrutable smile spreads across his face.
It's Isabella, sir.
Of course. But my point still stands. And with two beautiful ladies here, I'm sure.
And I'm sure little Lily here would certainly appreciate it if you remove your pretty hands from her, darling.
The pressure on my shoulder lifts as soon as those words leave his wife's lips, while the scowl on her face is like a splash of cold water on me. It's also impossible to miss the displeased frown on Miss McCullough's face. The realization that we might lose a sale because of my outburst instantly dawns on me. Rose will be beyond pissed.
I think I need to step out for a while. I'll be back.
Bowing my head, I mutter a quick apology and gather my stuff to make a quick exit. It doesn't matter if this place is haunted or not. I've caused trouble, and Rose can be quite unforgiving of behavior like this. Alright, we are going to end off the video here. Thank you all so much for watching. If you liked it, leave a comment, give it a thumbs up, share it around, do your thing, YouTube. I'll see you all in the next one, and goodbye, everyone.